Okay, so have there been any like learning lessons or growing pains?
Yes.
Yeah,
Very much so.
There's a crazy story here to where in January January was when we had that crazy month on Snapchat, and I ended up dropping out of school for that, or I dropped out to one class. I was basically
because
like,
our expectation was like, yo, this is gonna be
the norm,
forever. Like,
very naive. We're
now.
like, oh, we're just gonna keep making this crazy money for the next 10 years. Like, it just very naive of us. And obviously, we're young. We just started business.
And we only had one show at the time. We were not running a mass production scale. We were just doing all the work ourselves and running one thing.
And then I literally remember 3 days after I dropped my classes, our views like completely dropped off. We were making like no money anymore. And then it continued like that for a couple weeks to where I'm like, oh shit, like
that's scary.
This is not working. So it's like I was not in school, grinding every single day, and it was just not working.
But then we like positioned it. We thought to ourselves like, okay, we can adapt from this. Like, this isn't what it's gonna be forever, and there's a reason for that. So obviously at the time we always had the idea to ourselves like, yo, let's just make many shows. Like, if we're doing all this money on one, we can do it on others. But we were too complacent because we were doing so well on one. We thought, what's the point of maybe risking not doing well on another and spending time on that? Because at the time, like we said, we didn't have the idea of hiring employees. So it turned to the fact that our views dropped to really like low numbers. We weren't making a lot of money. And then we started making new accounts and started scaling those. And then that's when we started hiring our first few employees, but we were still very, very on hand. And like we said, in January, we made $600,000. In February, we made probably like, 100 or like 70. This is total, by the way. So
sounds like a lot, but like after all splits, after media
cost,
agency,
everything.
like the partner takes the percentage, we split money, we pay employees. Like it dropped off very significantly to the number that I had in my mind of like, okay, if I hit this, I can drop out of school and be fine.
And like within
that makes sense.
Within a month after February, so within the end of March, we scaled back up to 500, 600,000 revenue from absolutely nothing again. And this time it was across 8 to 10 shows. So we spread it. So we spread it perfectly because the Snap environment changed to where you had to really like grind and create specific videos to get good views. Because back in January, there was a lot of hot topics like that we could just make views on and really get ourselves pushed, but news dies down. Like, it doesn't stay as heated at all times. So we had to really spread ourselves and make like 8 to 10 accounts, and we scaled back up to like high 6 figures. And basically it was just through trial and error, looking at the algorithm graphs and everything, and we scaled back up to what we had. So we went from everything.
What a roller coaster.
We went from nothing to everything to nothing to back to everything again. So,
and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch more trial and error that 100%. We go through of like, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. We have to pivot. And it's the type of thing to where like, it just like, you have to be able to adapt to all these situations. Like, there's so many random shows that came out of what we were running, or like so much stuff that was just unaccounted for. Like, dude, when I started, I didn't realize that I could hire employees. How dumb is that notion? But like, I don't know. I was just like, oh no, I know how to script write. I'll just script write everything myself. But like, it didn't even occur to me that I could train script writers. It didn't occur to us that we could run 15 shows. Yeah. Right. So it's just sort of like, we learned a lot through trial and error, and hopefully people use this podcast to, if you want to start faceless YouTube channels, whatever, you can sort of learn from what we've talked about.
It's about the hustle, though.
And exactly like we said, like, if we had done the same
hustle
thing that we had done in January if we had done the same thing that we'd done in January, in March and April, we would have not seen the same success. We had to adapt, and we had to overcome what was not working, and we had to pivot. And
how often do you have to pivot now?
Now we have a mass spread of 8 to 10 accounts and stuff, so we pivot, but it's pretty small because we have so many accounts that we're running, and maybe one certain niche doesn't really have to pivot as much as the other. Another one might really have to pivot 1 month to the next. Yeah. But we kind of understand the way the internet works now, and the way we structure our videos, and the way we talk about things.
We say this now, personally for me, it's how do I build something that's bigger than just, because like 100%, like I love Snapchat and all of this, but it's like, how do I build an actual company out of this? Like, how do we just stop running this as a side hustle? And that's the pivot that we're going through now, to where, I don't know, it's sort of like different levels of problems. And obviously you get paid based on the level of problem that you can solve. Right. So just figure, it's sort of like orders of magnitude of like, okay, we've gone through the Snapchat grind and YouTube grind. What is a level above this that we can now tackle?
It's a maintained thing now. Like, it's what it's at, and it might not go to 10x more revenue than it's at now, but it won't decrease 10x revenue than it's at now. It's at a maintainable point. So now it's like very doable and efficient for us if we just get everything in place to like grow onto bigger things and start companies and really build generational wealth.
Success in business is staying in business. Like that is success
100%.
and growing.
And
and
it might not be the same
quit,
business.
if we don't quit, we don't lose.
Right.